Welcome back to Home Helper's Water Cooler Chat. Today we present the highly anticipated second part of our two-part series featuring the incredible Amy LaGrant. In this second installment, Amy delves into a topic that affects many families and caregivers, creating a comfortable bathing experience for individuals living with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. With her extensive knowledge, compassionate approach, and personal experience, Amy shares invaluable tips and insights that can transform the bathing routine into a moment of connection, dignity, and comfort. Throughout her career, Amy has dedicated herself to understanding the unique needs of seniors and family caregivers. Now she imparts her wisdom directly to you, providing practical strategies and heartfelt advice for navigating this sensitive aspect of caregiving. Are you ready to learn more about making the bathing experience as comfortable as possible for individuals with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia? I know I am. Let's go. Something else I wanted to touch on with you today, Amy, is about bathing. We get a lot of questions about bathing, and so I wanted to just find out from you. We know that with dementia or other forms, Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia, there may be anxiety or resistance to bathing due to changes in cognitive function or sensory perception. What tips can you give our audience on how to make bathing more comfortable for someone with Alzheimer's or another form of dementia?
Bathing is such a challenging topic. From a perspective of being a daughter who had a father who had Alzheimer's. And, I'll share a couple of stories just around bathing and dealing with, incontinence, which is also kind of a correlation to when you possibly need to bathe. There was one time when I was with my family and my mom and my sister had decided they were going to take my dad on a little road trip. And my dad had an issue while they were on the road trip. And of course, my mom and my sister kind of called me in a panic. And I drove an hour and a half to meet them halfway where they were with a warm bucket of water, a bunch of washcloths, some handy wipes, and a change of clothes. And my dad and my mom was, of course, a wreck, my sister equally so. And I came in and was sitting here going, all right, so I am a, young woman who is going to need to literally bathe her father and clean up her father. And of course, my dad is mortified. He's embarrassed. He's a mess. We're in the Carl's Jr. parking lot, and I have to clean and bathe him during that time. And I remember taking a moment before we kind of got started because my dad was crying and he was upset. And I just said to him, I said, neither one of us want to do this. Neither one of us want to have this experience, but we're going to work through it and we're going to go from there. And I think he settled down from me just acknowledging that piece. And I think part of it from a bathing perspective, if you really think about it and you think about it from a personal perspective, bathing is a very intimate thing that people do, usually alone. And also not having the autonomy to be able to bathe yourself. People with Alzheimer's may also not understand what's going on. Things like the water and the temperature of the water and all of the moving pieces that happen when you're bathing, it can be overwhelming. And then on top of it, it's something that you normally would do on your own. And now you're needing somebody in there with you. And if you're a mother who's now having your son do it, or you're a father who's now having your daughter do it, or you're the head of the household and now your wife is having to do this for you, it is a very emotionally charged event. And so I think having that acknowledgement, even if it's every time, and then creating opportunities for autonomy within that experience. Is there things that person enjoys? Is there's Is there a baseball game on that you could have playing? Is there music that you like? Is there a favorite washcloth or towel or outfit or like my dad loved the smell of eucalyptus. So everything that we used for bathing smelled like eucalyptus. Just creating those opportunities where you can make it less. And I have also found, and this is my personality and may not work for everybody, but acknowledging it, and I think having humor. My dad and I had a very similar sense of humor, very dry. And we would use humor to kind of cope, our coping mechanism. Some people cry, we make jokes and are sarcastic. That is our coping mechanism. And so, I always tried to make light of it, that these were, things that may be embarrassing and maybe things that we don't necessarily love. And I think just that acknowledgement also allowed him to be like, okay, we're not loving this. And I know it all relates to people at different stages, but I will tell you that communication with people with dementia can happen in many different ways. In some instances, if people are earlier in the stage and still have some cognitive, dissonance, that they are understanding, they're comprehending, you can be having verbal communications. But I will tell you, the power of touch, especially as it relates to things like bathing, are also a form of communication. You can communicate a lot through eye contact and touch. And those things also create that connection and create that safe place for people. I think also, if you're in a situation where you're fighting with it, and just stop, move on. Maybe have them wipe themselves down with a washcloth that day. Don't create a bigger issue around it. Also, create a schedule. Have it happen at the exact same time every day. Create the routine, so it's something that they're anticipating. I know the busyness of life can get in the way and it's maybe not going to be able to happen at the same time, but set it up. Create little reminders, put little Post-it notes on the mirror that say bath time is going to be at 7 today, or things so they can anticipate and get ready. Don't just spring them on them. That would be something else, because I think that will just create further agitation. Prepare them, get them ready for it, create an experience. All of those will reduce the agitation and create an opportunity where you can connect versus be at odds with each other.
Very good. I really like those tips, Amy. And one of the reasons I like this chat today is because you not only show your expertise, you're tying it back to a very personal experience with your father. And so I know that will mean a lot to our audience out there, because I'm sure a lot of them can relate.
Can I share a funny story?
Yeah, you can.
So my dad had just started using Depends for his incontinence. And I had been doing a lot of bathing. And I was kind of, done with kind of the intimate moments with my father. And my mom was getting very frustrated with my dad and his Depends. And so I came home from work and I was with my mom, and she goes, will you please show John how to put these on? And I was like, are you serious right now? Like, really? I'm like, I've been at work all day. I'm like, I'm exhausted. And I was like, okay, we're going to do this. Nobody's getting undressed. So we go in his room and I've got my pants on and he's got his pants on, and we put the Depends on, and after a few tries, we get it all set and all ready. And he's like, he's got it. He is like on it. He's like, okay, I got it. I get a call from my mother the next morning. And my dad walks out with his Depends on over his jeans. And my mom was like, John, what are you doing? And he goes, but this is the way Amy taught me how to do it. And of course, my mom and I had kind of like a little bit of laugh. So she's like, you got to come back tonight and teach him again the right way.
That's hilarious. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. We see that as well with some of our clients. And so, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that story. So I've got another question for you. In your current role in the Alzheimer's and dementia role, like what is that? I know that you're on the board of Alzheimer's Association. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing?
Yeah. So, my personal and professional life are, at the ultimate convergence. So, I own a company and we are a consulting firm and we work with a lot of different organizations. And I do a lot of consulting with companies and organizations that really want to understand how to reach this market and then also get insight around family caregivers and kind of what that looks like. So I work with a lot of organizations that way. And then from an advocacy and an awareness perspective, I'm on the board for the Alzheimer's Association here in Tennessee. And my main role there is that I'm really trying to increase awareness. One of the things that we are very blessed to be in is actually what we're coining the age of treatment. For the first time ever, we actually have treatments, drugs that are available to actually treat the amyloid plaques of Alzheimer's. And most of the medication, most of the I guess treatments, lack of a better word, are more about symptom management through Alzheimer's and dementia. They're really not getting to the core of the disease. And so now we finally have those things. But many of those treatments are for early diagnosis. So I spend a lot of time educating, going out and advocating, and really trying to break down the stigma of Alzheimer's caregiving. A lot of people don't want to admit that they have Alzheimer's because of the stigma with the disease. They're worried that they're going to get treated differently. They're worried that their family members are going to kind of dismiss them. They're worried they're going to lose friends. And so a lot of people keep the diagnosis very close to the chest and are not seeking out treatments. Well, a lot of the treatments that are available now are really for mild cognitive and early stages of the disease. And so getting that awareness out that is where we have the most success to create more time with families as it relates to Alzheimer's and dementia. And so I spend a lot of time doing that and then giving companies the tools that they need in order to educate their organizations on the effects that this disease is having on families, employees. It's pretty crazy the amount of people that have a 1-degree connection to this disease. It's frightening and also just so disheartening that we have not made more progress. So I work very hard to share my dad's story and let his legacy be that his life was not just for naught, that, he was working really hard to fight this disease and of course was not the first survivor, but his hope and my hope is that fathers and daughters in the future will be able to have more time together. So.
Well, thank you, Amy. It has been a real big treat to have you here today. Your expertise and your experience in helping, everyone, right, affected by this disease, I think is very important. So thank you for doing that. I also want to thank you just for joining us simply on the show today. I was so excited when I saw that it was going to be you joining us. And I think that's it. Any parting words before you head out?
No, I just thank you for having me on the show. Also, thank you for what you're doing to help give families tools and for them to understand that they are not alone in this fight. There are many of us here who have been in their shoes, and I just thank all the family caregivers that are out there and what they're doing for their loved ones. That they are the heroes.
Thank you so much. So I'll put your information at the end of the video and also in the comments, so our audience can reach out to you if they need to. And to our audience, thank you so much for watching this episode of Home Helpers Water Cooler Chat. And until next time, stay hydrated with great conversations from Home Helpers Water Cooler Chat. We'll see you soon. Take care.